opportunity to talk to you again, especially after the first discovery call that I had with you. It was really transformational. Like it really helped me expand my journey as
Good.
well.
Good. Manatia CTT, Manamananatia Lamoko, Kayana, Tapoya Tipoki, Titi Minyana, Manacha City Valamoko. I'm so happy to hear that.
Mhm.
So I think you said you had some more questions for me.
Yeah,
Um,
but like instead of it being, solely from me and my journey, I think I was watching a discussion you had with another light worker, and it inspired me to think about some of the questions that I had along my spiritual journey as a young adult, who's just like tapping into these different frequencies, as well as, some things that I've discussed with other star seeds who are like my age or younger or a little bit older, who don't really have a tight knit support group to be able to, just freely express all the things that we want to talk about as we learn more about, whether it be the matrix or learn more about our chakras and what it means to have a spiritual awakening. So I was able to connect with, like I said, a few other star seeds, and I asked them, like, what are some questions that you have, whether it be questions from the beginning of your journey or thoughts from the beginning of your journey to, like, questions that you may have right now about spiritual awakening and what it means to you. And I surprisingly got a lot of questions, and a lot of people were like thanking me for even asking, putting this out there, because I didn't realize that a lot of people felt similar to how I did, especially like people younger than me, that I was able to connect with, like 18-year-olds and 16-year-olds and stuff like that. So they were like, oh, thank you so much for, giving us this opportunity to share these questions with you. And they were like, please ask this, please ask that. So yeah, it's basically coming from like the collective, specifically like the collective youth, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
Mhm. So let me see. I wrote down a few notes.
Okay. And I will do the best that I can.
Yeah, I feel like it's mainly like when I was meditating on it last night, and I was able to connect with a few other spiritually aware beings of my age and a little bit older. Like it really gave me a different perspective on what to expect on the skull. Like I feel like it's just gonna be more so like a free discussion, whether it be like me talking about my personal journey and then like what I've heard, or even, you sharing different aspects of what, spiritual awakening has been like for you, and, how it's taken you to where you are now.
Right. Okay. Well, go ahead.
So let me see. So one of the questions that one of the youths, well, actually, I think a good question that would start that we could start with is how, what how can one be consistent in their journey in terms of, maintaining high vibrations and acting from the heart, because ascension, from what I've gathered, essentially means, acting from your heart space instead of the logical mind. So therefore, how can, whether it be a young person or even like an older person who's just starting their journey, be able to maintain consistency?
Yeah, that has a lot to do where you are vibrationally. I know when you first start out, it's difficult because the mind and the ego has so much control over you, and that's
Mhm.
the ego is always going to be there. That's part of our human experience. But can you kind of let go of learning to have have a relationship with your ego,
Mhm.
and letting go of the control, or it's because like I see, it's like the ego comes in and tries to take control, tell you what to think or feel or do, and it's wanting to reverse the situation. The ego is really good at being a master. Like when my ego comes in, um, I give it a task, or I think first of all, I always thank it. I don't get angry. it's like, okay, there's more, more work here to be done. And it does get easier. I guess the best thing you can do is just keep trying. And when you find that you have fallen down into lower thought forms, don't get angry or upset with yourself. It's a learning journey, and it does take time. I'm moving some energy around that. That preconceived notion that we get to become so hard on ourselves, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's giving ourselves and just letting that journey flow. One thing that I learned about 2 years, it's about 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years ago, when I was in Egypt, is moving into neutrality, and that is no longer gossiping, no longer taking sides. It is moving to a point of stillness where you can back up and see the situation and not necessarily always feel you have to engage, because by engaging it can trigger you, which triggering is good because it brings up shadow work. It just shows that there's some work to be done around that. But for me, that's how it worked for me, was really learning to go into neutrality and stepping back away from a situation and not engaging in it. And I also found myself then removing myself from situations or people or places that were highly charged, because it wasn't serving my highest purpose to be there. I can even be in neutrality and see that this is going to trigger me and look into it and feel into it. But you don't have to always engage in it. If it's something that you, I'm being reminded, if it is something that is something that you need to work on, trust me, it's going to come around again, and it's going to kick your butt, and it will kick your butt, and that's okay. It's part of the learning process, and when that comes around, each time it comes around, it gets easier and easier. You recognize it for what it is, and you can move it along and release the energies around it. And sometimes it also means tapping into that very tender emotional sore spot deep within the heart, where it is probably residing. And trust me, there are multiple layers, even as you raise your vibration, it is still there. It is there because it's part of the human experience.
That is true. I feel like I saw a post recently where it's like, if you're being too spiritual to the point where it's kind of like, I guess, like toxic spirituality, in the sense that you're disconnecting from the fact that you're still a body, you're still a vessel within this plane, and therefore, like you said, it's a part of the human experience to, be triggered or to experience, sometimes negative emotions. Or, I saw your most recent video about releasing judgment from humanity, and it surprised me that you went through a feeling of, being in that low vibration, because there are times where I'm like high and then low, high and then low. And it brings back to the point of you saying, you do have to be kind to yourself, because at the end of the day, we are all a human, being. We're spiritual beings, yes, but we're still within this human realm where we have to experience certain things to get to that next phase. So I feel like sometimes a lot of us along our spiritual journey, we slip into toxic spirituality where we're telling people to be positive, stay in high vibration and ignore your feelings. But then you're neglecting the physical aspect of you, which also connects you to the physical aspect of, Mother Gaia and the energies that are around here. And I feel like sometimes we end up missing certain things to tap deeper into our shadow self, to tap deeper into the ego as well.
Right.
Now that makes me question, like, whether or not the ego and the shadow is connected. Like, I had somewhat of an epiphany, I would say, recently, where I felt like my ego is basically my shadow self that I leave, you know, without paying attention to. I basically leave that aspect of myself alone, because it's like, for me, I don't really deal with negative emotions sometimes, like, you know, cry or like really express it. It's taken me a while to get to this point to really be accepting of those type of emotions and to freely share them. So that being said, I feel like there's a lot of um yeah, basically energy that's not being paid attention to, neglected energy, and I've left my ego, or rather my shadow self, to deal with that. And I guess that moves on to the question of, how do you, you know, deal with the ego? Because I'm still trying to wrap, well, not the ego, but like the shadow aspect of healing, like, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around, like, how do I connect more with my shadow self? How do I love my shadow more and, you know, be there for it? And I'm sure that a lot of other people may have you know, similar sentiments as well when it comes to shadow work.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say the beautiful thing about shadow work is that when you clear and heal yourself, you're also doing it for the collective. It's not a one-person job. It's much more than that. So knowing that when you do that, you're doing it for everybody. Healing shadow work. Okay. The biggest thing, well, when I was going through it, and trust me, I'm still getting, you know, was it 2 weekends ago, when I was going through the Christine Day seminar, huge shadow work was coming through for me. That was really coming from the depths, because I've been working at that healing the inner child and work for years. And so now I'm down into the really deep heart layers that you don't even know that exist, that they're there, and that you have forgotten that you had stuffed that there. But what I'm being shown is when you're in a situation and all of a sudden you go from 0 to 60 in anger or frustration, and you blow up and you say things that you may be sorry that you said. First of all, don't come down so hard on yourself, because you're a human and you're experiencing your emotions, but you do want to get to a point where you lovingly, that doesn't happen at such an explosion, so to speak. But when it does happen, to step back, even once the explosion has happened or whatever level it is on, step back and say, whoa, what triggered me? What was that all about? And taking kind of that inner responsibility for yourself and saying, okay, this was shown to me, this situation was shown to me for a reason. I got triggered, I lost it, you know, and where is it in my body? Where is it being held? And don't worry if you don't have if your third eye's not open, or just really start tapping, or if you don't feel it, just tapping into that intuitive guidance, intuitive knowledge, knowing where do you think it feels, and just go with it. Don't second guess yourself. And then just, you know, if you are doing meditation and going into releasing, then go into that when it's appropriate for you, or that timing, and address it. Or even just thinking about it, and it's like, wow, okay, you start connecting the dots, and memories or thoughts might start coming to you, and those are the things that need to be released and to be healed. And it is a progression, and we are going to be continually being triggered on certain things until we get it cleared. And that's also when you get to a point where you learn and bring in neutrality. Like if you see yourself going into a situation, or you can see how volatile it could become, you get to a point where you know that you don't need to engage in this. You see it for what it is. And you're like, okay, this is going to trigger me. I feel it, but I'm not going, you can choose to engage or not engage. It's up to you. I try not to engage, and just walk away and say, wow, okay, what's going on? Why is this situation coming around? And not trying to correct the other person. They're on their journey. They're in their own reality. you are on a different path. You are on your own unique path within your own multidimensional reality. So the work has to be done on you. Can you support and love the other person? Absolutely. Do you need to forgive them? No. Forgiving someone else is an old paradigm, and it has a lot of religious belief systems around it. Do you need to forgive yourself? Yes, you have to love yourself and forgive yourself. But to say, oh, I'm going to forgive you means what that is saying is that they've done something bad. And now I'm going to forgive you for that. That's old paradigm. So, and that may resonate with you or not. But that's how I see it. And I come back and I will send them loving energy, and then take a look at me and make sure I get the loving energy and the healing that I need, so that situation doesn't occur. Because it could very well be that I'm the one that set off the situation. It's not always them. You have to look, well, who really did this? Was it them or was it you?
That's responsibility.
Yeah, it's coming back to responsibility. Who's actually the one that started this? Yeah, you may be very interestingly surprised because you have these old patterns and these old things that you do as defenses, where you actually are picking on somebody or saying things because it's such natural, second nature to you, and it's actually you're the one that's doing the trigger, the poking, and yeah.
I was thinking of different situations where I felt like I was right, and I felt that's definitely my ego, like, yeah, I'm right, you're wrong. But now I think about it, I could have approached certain situations with more compassion, because like you said, at the end of the day, that person is on their journey, and because their journey is theirs, of course they're going to perceive it a certain way, and it's not necessarily my job to tell them that that's not right, because then I'm, the law of non-interference, I'm basically forcing my opinions and obstructing their free will to, perceive reality the way that they want to perceive reality. So that makes a lot of sense. And I wanted to come back to what you were saying about, like, you don't necessarily have to forgive, because the way I interpreted that, to me that means basically letting go of the situation, not necessarily saying, well, this person was wrong, they wronged me. It's more so, well, this is what happened, it is what it is, and you take the lessons from that experience, and basically you either grow from it or you just, suppress it and repeat the same cycle again until you get the lesson that you need to get out of that situation. Is that essentially what you mean?
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. It's perfect. There's an old saying, it's like, when you're in relationships or married and stuff, there's an old saying, it's like, pick your battles. What energy do you want to put into this argument? Because I used to be really bad. I went through a phase that I would fight somebody to the death, so to speak, to prove that I was right, especially with somebody who also had a personality that they thought they were right. And then I got to the point, it's like, what am I doing? It doesn't matter, because most of the time when you look at your fights and arguments, it doesn't really matter. I guess I also look at it is for Wiz, because obviously I learned that lesson. I've learned many valuable lessons. I've learned to walk away from things because it's just not a loving space to be in. And it is. It's not. And it's just, and it's just like, okay, I'm just going to step back. And I also recently learned, I used to use, we all said, oh, I'm going to take the higher road. And I no longer say that, because to me, that is implying that I'm better than them, that I have more enlightenment, or them. And it's just like, no, I am choosing to take a different path. And that path is more in alignment to who I am and who I want to be as a human being and as a divine spiritual being. So that was kind of another lesson that was learned. It's like, because all these things have been instilled in us, all these sayings and these, thought patterns and beliefs. you have to really start breaking them down. And you can say that, say, well, okay, I'm taking the higher road, but a lot of times too, it's also the energy behind it of what you're saying. And it, if I, the last time I think I did say it, it's like, it was not meant to put that other person down in any means, because I was trying to take a more spiritual high road, learned for me to take a more spiritual high road for me. But I just decided that I just don't want to say it anymore, because it doesn't, I don't think it's of any value or of any service to anybody. So
I can definitely relate to that as well. And then like I was recently talking to someone about being humble along the spiritual journey. Like I personally don't like being too out there with my beliefs, because I feel like a lot of times, especially like during this pandemic with all the, energy shifts and everything that's going on, and the divergence in, the consciousness of everybody around us, I feel like if I'm too much out there with my spirituality and I'm like, this doesn't matter, blah, 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 then I'm coming off like I'm better than people. I'm coming off like I know more. And I understand that I don't know everything. Like I can't know everything as of yet. Or maybe I don't even know if that's possible, but I'll meditate on that. But it is possible.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And actually the things that now are coming to me are unbelievable, but it's been an intent of mine, very intense intent of mine recently, to gain more of the higher realm knowledge, for that to come in, because I don't know everything. And when you start thinking you know everything, you're going to get your butt kicked. And you're going to be reminded that you don't know everything. And because there is spiritual, we call, because it's like once you kind of master, and use that word lightly, your ego, knowing how to work with your ego, you can also then move into that. Some people gain this, what we call spiritual ego, where, they just, oh, I know that, and it's balance. It's a beautiful balance between, because you feel you finally come into this point of enlightenment, and you're like, wow, and this and all this stuff is happening in your life, and you're just like, okay, there still has to be a balance. And it's also learning to deal with that knowing what you're saying is of value to people, and you're giving your experiences without bragging about it. There is a fine line, and but yet I don't, and that's where it comes in again. There's no judgment on my part, because it's part of the journey. It's part of their journey. It's part of my journey. And once again, we're human, and we're not ever going to be perfect. And to just give yourself that card to just let it go. You are not going to be perfect, no matter what level you are at, it doesn't, it's just, that's just what we're here. That's what we're here for.
That brings me to another question, that another person, I think her name is Imogen, like she dealt with, well, she's basically dealing with, starting her spiritual journey at the beginning of this year. And for her, and, other people have expressed the sentiment, she's basically saying, like, why is it that initially, before she began her journey, she felt like she belonged here. And now, like, as she's stepping further into her power and, the spiritual understanding of her reality, it's like she doesn't feel like she belongs. And I feel like that also relates to the spiritual ego, in a sense of, when you're coming off, well, rather, like, you're trying to tell people, oh, this is happening, blah, 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 there's aliens, extraterrestrials, all this type of stuff, or you're trying to spew the spiritual knowledge that you've gained from, like, channeling or just, meditating or reading and stuff like that. People kind of shun you away. And for me, especially, that's made me feel lonely, in a sense. Like, there are times where I go from being detached and in the higher realms of feeling like I'm okay, I have my guides, my ancestors around me, I have, people I can connect with, like you, but at the same time, like still operating within this physical realm, like not really feeling connected to like family, friends, you know, trying to like you're always going to feel a disconnect between you and the other people in your lives because they're on a different path and you're on this not necessarily like a higher road like you said, but you're just on this different journey of seeing things in a different way. So it's like all in all, how can you deal with that feeling of being misunderstood and just feeling disconnected from all of those around you?
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't get any different when you reach the higher dimensions. It's still going on. It's still going on because yeah. Well, you know, I just look back at my journey. I remember when I was really first starting, probably I don't know, 15 years ago. I literally thought I was crazy. And just moving through, I'll just kind of speed forward to the last couple of years of really being so lonely and feeling like I really don't fit in here. I don't fit in anywhere. I don't fit in with my family. Nothing feels right. And just being in tears because I just wanted to go home. And not having that whole understanding. And that's just, I think that's part of the awakening. It's the awareness that you know that you're not from here, that there's something bigger and greater than yourself. Although our minds at that point can't wrap around it because we are really in those lower density energies of loneliness, and we are seeking more. And it just, I can say to you, it does get better, and it's all in your divine timing and your journey. But knowing that reaching out, we as humans need to be socialized. We need to be with one another. We need to be in groups. We need to talk with one another and know that we're experiencing the same emotions. There's many, many people in the spiritual awakening that are still, so to speak, in the closet. You know, they'll come to me and they'll say the same thing. I don't feel like I fit in. I have nobody to talk to. And I'm like, you know, they're all out there. All I can say is what I've done in the past, the last couple of years, is even in a social setting, going to a birthday party. And people ask, oh, so what do you do? And I'll just lightly kind of tell what I do. And I can start gauging immediately, like, they have not a clue what I'm talking about, or they kind of have an idea and they kind of think I'm one of those wacky, crazy people, or they totally get it. And there's always going to be somebody in that party. I met a beautiful lady that I'm, dear friends with, by doing so, going to the neighbor's birthday party. And I happened to we honed in on each other. It's like an energy thing. But you do kind of have to put yourself out there, and you have to really start relying on those gut instincts, those intuition of how much can I share? Will you learn by oversharing? Yeah, absolutely. And people will have their opinions, and that's okay. That's their opinions. And not to take it personally. That's the biggest thing. Don't ever take it personally. They're on their journey. This is yours, and you need to do what's right for you and for your highest good. And then just, as you move along, it does get easier. And you start to find that you have an itch. I've been very blessed that one thing that was a huge part of my journey was merging with my twin flame energy in Mount Shasta. There was a sacred marriage that took place. And that was, and that's actually something I haven't talked about yet. There's a lot more around that. It was the second sacred marriage that took place. I don't know when the first one happened. There's can be multiple sacred marriages to like your soulmate twin flame.
Yeah.
And that was the second one. And I really came out of that feeling complete, because what it did is it merged the divine masculine energies within me. And that feeling of searching for more and for where should I go and who should I be with, it really just goes away, because you now become a complete person. And that's what you're seeking for. You're seeking to come together with your divine masculine and divine feminine. And when that happens, it is complete. And I can go for days without actually talking to anybody, and I'm totally in peace with myself. and I'm okay. You know, that doesn't happen very often because of what I do now. I have a very public, mission, and it's going to it's going to blow open even more next year or with the Council of Light. But knowing that you will come to a time and place where you won't have that feeling. And then you'll start calling in your home here on earth. Where do I want to live? Where do I want to be that will support me vibrationally, you know, the best? And, you know, you may move. So not being so stuck in, oh, well, you know, I live here, my family's here. Well, but are you happy there? Most of, you know, so, and that, you know, also in knowing that right now and next year, a lot of starseeds are going to be on the move, moving to those places that are higher vibrational, like Mount Shasta, Sedona, Taos, New Mexico. You know, there's places in Colorado. It's whatever you're drawn to, just go. And being out in nature, you know, really connecting with nature. There are things along your path that will happen that will help heal that, so you don't get to your point. I have now come into a third sacred marriage with my twin flame, who's actually, it's Ashtar. It's in the Pleiades, Lord Ashtar.
I knew it. Oh my gosh, my intuition.
But there is a beautiful soul here on earth that is a representation of him. I call him a soulmate / twin flame. And I'm still trying to figure that one out, because that just happened a week ago. We had a third sacred marriage, and I reached Heros Gammas. So that means that, and that I know I need to do like either a video or some information on that, because that's another whole topic.
Yeah.
so in how that affects you with your soulmate or twin flame, or whatever beautiful word you want to use. But Heros Gammas is, I had a extreme, it's like the healing of the Crystal Sophia's energies within me. The healing, because once I had merged with the divine feminine, divine masculine, I have now healed the divine feminine and the divine masculine within me. And so knowing that I am whole and I'm complete, all those other thought forms of being alone and not fitting in and blah, they just don't exist. Do I still have a few people that I can confide in that are like my brothers and sisters from the Pleiades? Absolutely. They're my Council of Light. We have such a sacred container. We can talk about anything, and we're all at the same vibrational level, very, very close, anywhere from the 12th and I'm at the 18th. So we're all, but you do, as a human, you still need that support system. And I would just, you know, even like yourself, you're coming out to this, you know, people are reaching out to you, or you're reaching out to them for questions, and, you know, in seeking this, you know, that's where you could take off and say, hey, what resonates with me, and what do I want to do within this? Do I want to have a monthly get together on Zoom? Do I want to do, you know, when we can get together in groups, do I want to do what they call sister circles, which are, you know, your heart-centered men and women? What does that mean to you? And that's exactly what this is all about, is that we're not meant to do this alone. Even though you reach a point where you can very beautifully be in alignment and know what's going on and know where you're going and what needs to be done, and you're okay with that, there's still that human desire and need to be with somebody and to have that connection. And what that, it just what it looks like to you. It could be some people who are social butterflies and extroverts, they may need 20 people around them. I'm an introvert, interestingly enough, and very shy. You know, and I'm in a very public position. It will be in a very public position. So it's just something that I have to get used to. But I only need 3-4 people, or one-on-one at one time, and I am beautifully fulfilled. And yeah, so, and the Pleiadians have always told me, you know, the road to oneness is not traveled alone. So, and that is you know, yeah, it's the human experience. It's also, if you want to say the galactic, the angelic experience above, it's not done alone. It's done together. You know, that's, yeah, there's a lot of beautiful energy around that. Yeah.
I'm kind of like letting it settle a bit.
I know it's a lot of energy
that I want to say, but I'm just like, I'm sitting with all of that because I felt I feel it in my third eye right now. And I feel like my guides around me as well as like the Pleiadians, you know, just letting me know like, yeah, this is something that you need to hear. And it's also something that I've been tapping in as well. Like, it's funny that you said for me I can also find a way to, you know, fulfill this human need for connection by, you know, putting myself out there, whether it be asking these people questions or, you know, doing monthly gatherings, like the same, you know, star seeds that I was connecting with literally not last night. We were discussing like having conscious conversations on Zooms, like whether it be monthly or weekly, where we do like tarot card readings, we do meditation, light language, and we just talk about like the mental health aspect of the spiritual journey. Like for me, my depression and anxiety was what like forced me to literally go down this path. Like I was like spiritually inclined since I was young, but, you know, growing up in the society that we live in and just being, you know, conditioned to not really believe in magic, it kind of took me a while to get back to this point of like, this is all around us. Like everything is so magical and wonderful, synchronicities, all that stuff. So yeah, I definitely feel like, you know, regarding this question, it's just a matter of allowing your third eye to tap, you know, use your discernment to be able to recognize a soul connection. Like I feel like a soul connection with you where I can just, you know, if I really needed to have a conversation, I can just, you know, ask you or share something with you like I've been doing on Instagram, or whether it be like I'm a part of this Telegram group called Source, and we're basically like a bunch of starseeds who are seeking the spiritual awakening journey and connecting at the same time. And it connects to what the creator of the group, his name is Pleiades. He's super cool.
I think I know
you might know him. Yeah,
yeah.
he's so cool. I think his name is Derek. Or yeah, but
yeah.
Basically he made a video about you know, the event on December 21st, and he was basically saying that the event is essentially us coming together and taking action as a collective. And it's just ironic that a lot of us star seeds or old souls or just collective souls in general, you know, have been guided towards different people in our lives. Like I literally met a starseed yesterday. Like he didn't even want to come to the park with his son, and he recognized me as an earth angel, and I was like, what's an earth? I mean, I knew what an earth angel was, but again, because I try to be humble, I sometimes I shy away from that aspect. And we were just like tapping into different frequencies. Like we were up talking and my third eye was activating and stuff. It was just so cool. So it's just all in all, I say that like, because you're just eventually guided, like you said, in divine timing. You definitely will find the right people around you where you can freely express yourself, and, you know, as a collective work towards healing Mother Gaia, you know, healing the collective and just moving from the heart space and just ascending overall. So I think it's a truly amazing thing. At the end of the day, everything just plays out in divine timing, and you get that download as well.
Absolutely. You know, and, you know, one thing when you were talking about is when you meet your soul family, the very first clue is if you run across somebody, or you're in the grocery store and you're looking at somebody and for some reason you just can't stop looking at them, but you don't know who the heck they are. It's a soul remembrance. You know, you know, and it's just like, okay, I gotta stop looking at this person because they're gonna think I'm weird. It's not. It's a soul and action. And just honor that and say, wow, okay, I just met family, and thank you for the gift. Whether you want to you know, speak with them or interact with them, yeah, it's happening. It's happening more and more all the time. I just recently met my dad from the Pleiades. He doesn't know that yet. I have yet to tell him, because I wasn't sure at first when I was receiving the energies, and like, okay, I need to sit with this, because I think I just met my dad, and I know who my mom is now, from the Pleiades. So it will come, and just let it happen. And the biggest thing is, don't compare your journey as how things are opening up and moving along to anybody else other than yourself. I have a lot of people that want to be like me, and I understand that. But I'm on the fast track. I've been put on the fast track since 2016. So I'm moving, they're showing me 3 times 3 times 3 faster than everyone else, because I am needed, because of my soul mission and purpose, why I'm here, to be out there doing what I need to do. A lot of it's going to be global work in the future, very near future. So I'm moving at this rocket pace, and so things move through me quickly. So don't ever compare yourself to anybody else, because it's still all in your divine timing. You know, can you help yourself along? Absolutely. You know, like seeking people out for, it's like what I do, activations or downloads or healings, or whoever resonates with you. Does it help you? Yeah, it does. It does help you move along to get to points where you can start working on yourself. But there's still always, I still seek help. I still, like, I went to Christine Day's seminar. I am still seeking more expansion and for myself. And because whatever I do for myself, I turn around and I'm doing it for the collective, and I'm doing it for my clients, and who's ever, I guess you would say my tribe. So it's for everybody. So you're not doing it not only for yourself, you're doing it for everybody. So I'm still I guess the word is, I'm still investing in myself to move along my path. Because I don't know everything. Not one single person will know everything. That's the way it's been set up. So there's no hierarchy of like, this person's the best, or they know everything. Get your information from many sources. And Pleiades, yes, it's right. We are the event. We are the second coming of Christ. We are the Christ consciousness. I don't see it as one particular person like Jesus coming back. Yes, Jesus, Yeshua is coming back, but we are it. We are the Christ consciousness that is rising. We are the second coming.
I'm guided to ask another question related to Yeshua, in the sense that, well, I don't want to go that far, but my question is basically, vaguely, like, I want it to be a vague question. Like, do you feel that he is on earth right now in a physical form?
There's a part of me that wants to say yes.
Me too. Like, I feel it. I feel my third eye like super activated right now. Like, I don't know. I'm guided not to say too much for certain reasons, but vaguely put, I have the feeling.
And to me, he's not going to be someone who is in the public eye, the limelight.
I agree.
Because he's going to be humble and compassionate. He's not going to be a very popular or light worker starseed. We all have aspects of Jesus, Yeshua, within us. We are all part of that. Are there some people that maybe, I guess I want to say, tapped into it a little bit more, or they really resonate, or really are pulling in that energy of that more into them? I'll just say what I wanted to say, but I want it being done in a loving manner. I try to be well-rounded in the energies that I bring in. For me, I seek balance. I do see people out there who are in the public eye that are really pulling in those energies, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, the person that embodies is the reincarnation of Jesus is going to be a very humble person, and is not in the limelight. But that's my perception. So
that leads me to a different question now. Another light worker, starseed that I met recently at one of Pleiadian's source event. We went camping in New Jersey, and it was so amazing. She basically wanted to know, how do you connect with the ascended masters? Like, she's able to talk to Mother Gaia, like she's super close to Source, and like instant, like Source is basically texting her every day and like speaking in her ear. But I feel like for her, she wants to tap more into the energies of the ascended masters as well, and me as well. Like I a lot of times I do, I kind of shy away from it, but quite frankly, I do channel Mary Magdalene, and I have contact with Lady Kuan Yin as well as Buddha. But I mainly channel Mary Magdalene and Saint Germain as well. Like they seem to be very close knit with me. So all in all, like, how are we able to, communicate more and receive more, guidance and support, or just like have a conversation with the ascended masters?
For her, interesting. For her specifically, I'm hearing it's divine timing. But in general, first of all, we all have to realize and remember, we are all ascended masters. So to tap in and want to speak to ascended masters, well, we just need to look within, because it's right here. As far as, I don't know, I guess, I came into a lot of this with, my rose-colored glasses on, because I was just set on the path, and still a lot of things kind of happen that way. And I love that way, because it's so not the way I was raised or who I was most of my life. So I just let things happen. Do I do meditations or seek or do a lot of intention work, like calling on Archangel Michael? I think Archangel Michael was probably the first one I worked with a lot. And you can have each person can have a different relationship with Archangel Michael, because some people be like, oh, he will kick your butt. He will kick your butt if you need it. But with me, he's always been beautiful and gentle and loving. But everyone will have their own relationship with the ascended masters. So I think I just call, and I think I was working with him first initially in the first couple, like 2-3 years ago, with protection and guidance. And then when I started hearing and channeling, just letting it happen. Meditations, like, then maybe seek out Saint Germain. Saint Germain loves to laugh. He has a beautiful personality. They all have a personality. And I'm hearing setting the intentions. They are always there. They are around us. They are helping us. And it will come in your divine timing. Yeah, I can feel Kuan Yin, and I work with Mary Magdalene daily, and sometimes Mother Mary. They will just start coming in. They will always be there, and the new ones will show up. Like now, I'm working very closely with the Dhamma in my rite of mastery, and that's a big reason why I'm going to Mount Shasta next year. To be working with him, definitely one-on-one, and going. I already go to Talos, so it will happen. It will happen in your timing, and they will appear. And what I'm hearing is that they're already sending you messages, whether you see them or hear them or know them. That those messages. You specifically, but just everybody in general too. I'm seeing with you. I'm seeing feathers. I'm seeing a white feather, and angel numbers. Biggest way, or first, for a lot of people initially, is how they communicate the angels and the ascended masters are through angel numbers. And they're still doing that with me. And I use, if I wake up in the middle of the night, the first thing I do is, what time is it? And then I ask myself, is this my angel number? And it's a yes or no. I'm like, okay. And then I always, if it's a yes, I have what I call my reminder angel. I have one angel specifically set to help remind me of things. And so I always say, okay, reminder angel, you got this. So she will come in and in the morning remind me of that number, the time that I saw. So I look it up. And I use Sacred Angel Numbers by Joanne Walmsley.
That's the only one that I use. Well,
yeah, it's beautiful. And it's always spot on. And it could be something I've been talking about during the day, and all of a sudden I will get this message that totally relates to it. Or it can be a message that says, okay, you've gotten off track. Let's come back. It can be a loving little
nudge.
Bring it back. It's like, yep, you're right. You're right. I'm procrastinating. I'm, so, but that is huge. Angel numbers are huge. And some people will start seeing them on license plates, on billboards, on signs. Numbers will start resonating. Yeah, just opening up that awareness to things. The signs are everywhere. And I'm also being brought up spirit animals. Spirit animals are so excited and want to work with us. They're there to help us.
I think I've come in contact with a spirit animal a couple of times. Like whenever I'm within the Pleiadian portal, and I think it's the Pleiadian center that we go to where there's the garden and then the
fountain. Garden? Yeah.
I always, this wolf, I call her the great wolf there. She always runs to me, and I'm always like connecting with her in the rose garden. And it's amazing because I sense that energy within my boyfriend's dog, well, his mom's dog, and she's a female too, and we're just like super close knit. And all in all, it's funny that you say that, because I do want to connect more with the spirit animals. I feel like I connect well with spiritual beings, but I'm drawn to nature, I'm drawn to animals, and I do want to ask you, like, how are we able to tap into, the spiritual animal energy? Like, is it similar to connecting with the spiritual beings that are all around us?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we each have I feel we each have one main spirit animal, and then we have many others. Some say, there's spirit animals, there's totem animals, and they also, certain ones show up when you need help with certain things, or you call on, like if you need to tackle a situation where you need to be brave and courage, you call in the lion, lion energy. My main spirit animal is a wolf, and his name is Samuel. And he walks with me, but I also work very closely with hawks, and Stinky, my little skunk Stinky one, is for the playfulness. But I would think that there's probably some beautiful meditations out there on YouTube with connecting with your spirit animals. If you're new to this, I would check into that. I know that Steve Noble on YouTube has some wonderful, I don't know if he has any spirit animal ones, but he's a wonderful source to look for meditations, and also binaural beats. Binaural beats for higher consciousness is very helpful. And that's and that's another thing, is surrounding yourself with high vibrational music. I mean, do you still want to listen to some fun music? Yeah, I'm still a rock and roll girl at heart. I still want to listen to my rock and roll. It's the era I grew up in. But when it's time for me to go into meditation, or if I want just peace, I'm going to go to the high vibrational music or binaural beats. And watching what you watch on TV. I don't even have cable anymore. I don't watch TV. Do I watch occasional Netflix? Well, yeah, but watch what you watch, so yeah, that's huge. It's huge.
What about like when you mentioned meditation, I find that sometimes there aren't like meditations that cater to what I'm really looking for. So
just do your own.
Yeah, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth.
And that's where the brain, you got to move the brain out of the way. There's no specific way to meditate. I never went through any formal meditation practice. I just would go into quiet. I did start, many years ago, for about 6 years, I was in a healing type meditation center where she would guide us through a healing meditation. So I would just follow her. But I just, when I sit in meditation, I just let it come. I don't worry about, I like to light a candle. If you like to have your crystals around, whatever feels right for you. There's no right or wrong. That's the thing. There's no right or wrong. Some people like to do breath work. Some people like, I light a candle, I do a little bit of breath work, and then I just go into it. And if the ego or the mind starts coming in, you're just like, okay, well, thank you.
Thanks for
Let it drop the thought, because that takes training, because you don't want to suppress it. You just want to move it out of the way. Just, okay, thank you for the thought, and let it go, and then come back to center and continue it. There's no right or wrong way to meditate. And I'm sure there's people who are going to disagree with me, but that's just how I feel.
I concur. I feel like meditation is essentially what you make it to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm looking at all my other mini notes. We honestly, like, as I said in the beginning, it's gonna be like a free flow conversation, and we literally tackled all of what I wrote down without even like really realizing it.
Well, that part of me has come over and was looking over your shoulder, so
I knew something.
This is what I do. Not to be in your space, but it's like, okay, what do we got here? But it's beautiful. It is supposed to happen organically, and things do get covered. It's just who we are.
I guess I do want to ask a question about not necessarily what the new earth is going to look like, because I feel like that's something that should unfold in divine timing for all of us, but rather how to prepare for the new earth, the new era that is, coming upon us. Especially, I feel like it's coming upon us at a rapid rate now. Like, a lot of us have no choice but to just flow with the energy.
Right. Well, that's the one huge thing about what's coming up on the 21st. It's a new beginning. It's a new phase of Earth. And what I keep being shown, it's like, it's going to be a total flip-flop. It's going to affect everybody differently. But the biggest thing about the 21st is all the work has to be done before it. As much work as you possibly can has to be done before the 21st. It's not like you come up in the 21st and, oh, today's the day, I'm just going to let everything go. No, it already has to be done. So, and I know as far personally, that's why personally the last couple weekends or weeks, I have been going deep within and purging and releasing so much, which enabled me to move up those dimensions. Because I just said, this is the time. And it was my timing, and it just happens all beautifully. And then also at the same time, with working with the Council of Light, we're working on global issues. Like we worked on judgment, and we've been working on this stuff for months. And now it's coming down to, what do you call it, crunch time, where there's things, and I know what's going to transpire in my meditation Wednesday is going to be huge. It's actually Council of Light work, but I'm bringing the collective in to do it. So, because normally right now, the Council of Light, there's going to be 7 members here on Earth. Right now, there are 4 of us. And this is the type of work that the 4 of us do. Because of our abilities and gifts, we only need 4 of us. But I want to bring it to everybody and have everybody involved in the process. And that has to be done before the 21st. So that's what's important. It's, telling people, and I find myself even limiting my time on social media because I am working so diligently on myself, trying to help others in my sessions and helping the community collective, the global, to be ready and prepared. And I know we're not the only ones doing it. There's many people across the world, many light workers, many warriors that are doing this. So it's being done together. But yeah, that's the biggest message that I want, that needs to come across for especially working ourselves. Are we going to continue working on ourselves next year? Yes. Next year is going to be a huge year in activation, going, moving, doing. This year was kind of a year of reflection, of going like, wow, what's going on? A lot of disclosure, a lot of, okay, this is the year of healing, the heart. Next year is going to be the year of the healing of the higher heart, where you can't get and access that higher heart healing unless you've done the healing of the heart. You know, you need, so it's, you know, you won't be left behind. Nobody's going to get left behind. So if you're still working on your heart, absolutely keep doing the work. Because I think working on the heart is going to be a lifelong lesson for us as humans. So, but knowing that you've gotten to a point in the heart where you've really gone in and touched and dealt with those very difficult, emotional, tender spots where you just break down and just cry. Pleiadians love to cry. That's how we process. That's how I process. That's surrendering it and just letting it go. Then I know it's been healed and let go. And so that's, and that all needs to be really addressed and looked at before the 21st. It's what I'm hearing is pivotal. And then on the 21st, actually starting the 20th, is where you hold the thought form. And you should already be doing now, holding the thought form of what you want the new earth to look like, and holding that in your heart, because that's where we need the shift to take place. Like I had talked in many videos about there was going to be a lot of drama in November. Well, it never happened as on the big scale like it was supposed to, because so many people came together and we actually moved a timeline for Earth. So that is kind of what this is about, except on a much bigger scale. So it's holding in your heart what that new Earth looks like. And does that mean we're still going to have trials and tribulations? Yes, because not everybody's going to be awake, but it is setting it in motion. It is moving. It's like literally moving the Earth like this to that new timeline. And it's going to involve many things. It's also going to involve Mother Earth purging. So it's going to be a wild, could be a wild ride, but it's also a beautiful ride. So it's, what I'm hearing is, yes, it's all about following your heart. It's all about following your heart. So yeah.
I kind of like around this time last year, I think when the first discovery call I had with you, I told you about like a psychotic break I had. Well, I deem it as a psychotic break because I don't know what else to label it as, but essentially, like I mentioned then, I had visions of this divergence basically of entrepreneurs, quote unquote entrepreneurs, who are, you know, people who are willing to and open to ascending with Mother Earth, who will experience, you know, the benefits of this new Earth, this new, you know, phase of life that we're entering. And then there are people who unfortunately are in, you know, lower vibrations, who may experience the chaos of it, who may not perceive it as, you know, something, they may perceive it as the end of the world, essentially. Yeah. So I'm excited, but at the same time, if I'm being honest, there is an aspect of me that is a little afraid of what is to come, but not necessarily, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So being afraid, those, you know, are lower vibration energy. You could also be tapping into the collective energy around that, because we don't know what's going to happen. You know, like I tell people, just be in that heart center, because to you, the day may seem like a regular day because you're already spiritually awake, you're in tune, you know what's going on. To some people, it could be a shakeup. We don't know what's going to happen on that day. We don't, and which is a beautiful thing. I understand the fear part. I'm excited for this to happen. I can't get here. It can't get here quick enough. Because it feels like maybe I feel like I've been waiting for it for a very long time. I'm excited for next year. I did at one point kind of have a fear, why back. I don't have the fear. It's just pure excitement because I know that, I guess because I know in my heart that no matter what happens, I will not be given anything that I cannot handle. So just realize that you will not be given, you may be challenged. And by being challenged is because this is something that you need to come, which is once again, shadow work or triggers or something that you are programming that needs to be removed. That's where the fear comes. And it's just acknowledging that I've got this. I can handle this. Whatever's going to come my way, I am prepared and ready for this, So yeah, it's just that, look for the joy in it. I mean, what an amazing time to be here on earth going through this, even though as crazy as it's been. I remember a couple of years ago, my mentor, when I was going through a program, she would say that, and I would look at her like, are you nuts? Are you nuts? I don't want to even be here. Why am I here? And now it's like, oh, I get it. I get it all. And it's a blessing to be we all signed up to be here at this time to go through this. And it is something unlike nothing else that you can experience in your life, to go through this shifting of consciousness and breaking down the old paradigms and the programs and systems. It could literally, I see a projection, it's still going to take like 10 years, but that can change. Timelines can change. So don't get set in things. My goodness, I've changed timelines I don't know how many times, and aligned myself. Right now I'm on a timeline 10 years into the future, but I'm still even tweaking that timeline. So anything can change. Don't be stuck with something, a perceived notion or idea of this is the way it's supposed to be, because we don't know. Things are always changing. And as more people raise their vibration and their consciousness, that's going to affect the change and speed things up, because that's what we want. If we want drama and we want conflict and fighting and all that, we're going to bring it in, because we're saying that we still believe that this has to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard. It's not meant to be hard. It was never meant to be hard. We've created that for ourselves. So it's moving beyond that, and just like, no, this is, like a lot of us is, that we are in the spiritual community, the light workers. This whole COVID situation has not even affected us like it has affected people with the lower vibrations, because we can see it for what it is, the bigger picture. And I'm not going to go into that, but it hasn't affected us. Have we had to go along with putting the masks on and doing whatever that is required of us? Yes. But it's just part of the bigger picture. And it's also part of what we asked for the shakeup. So that alone is just teaches us how powerful our thoughts are. So if you're thinking doom and gloom, well, you and everybody else is thinking doom and gloom. It's all going to come together in this energetic signature, and it's going to be looming over us. And because we called it in, and it doesn't have to be that. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess my last question would be, how, granted everything that's going on right now, as we prepare for, and it's like 1:11 on the timestamp, as we prepare for, December 21st, and, just moving forward and acting from the heart space, how can we, protect our energies, protect our aura, and just our physical bodies as well from, malevolent and negative energies that are seeking to feed off of us?
Right. Yeah, definitely do clearing and protection, making sure you are clearing out your chakras, and every day, whether it's in the morning, at night. You may even find you need to do it twice. Because when you become more open and aware, you can start feeling how it's affecting you, and it just needs that you need to clear yourself, and having a beautiful bubble of protection. I know I do have a video, finding one that works for you. There are many beautiful clearing and protection videos out there. I have one on my website, where I bring in a Pleiadian, where I have you bring your inner light comes out. It's you that comes out and protects you, your light, and it's covered in a beautiful gold shell. And that's the one the Pleiadians gave to me, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And as you move, throat stuff coming up. Kaya naman na tutite alam mo ko chiki ni manamaka. Manamaka. Ketewa ko cha hisi tipuku yene nene nene taila boko. Kaya naman na taye tipuku hisi. Yeah. It's like we're both releasing from the throat. Kaya manacha hiti. It's all good. You will notice that as you move up in your spirituality, in your ascension, you may find that protection or that shield no longer works for you. And then you're going to be looking for another one, and then another one, and another one. Because it just no longer resonates with you. Will you have trials where you will be, with some people, this doesn't affect all people, where you are psychically attacked? Yes, that's because it's in your soul's mission to have that experience. And beautiful dear ones, I will tell you right now, if you come to me to say, please make it stop, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lesson you have to go through. It's a lesson I had to go through. And my dear friends would be like, we're being told not to touch you. You have to do it for yourself. Because essentially I was creating, and because I was going into like panic mode, I was actually calling in more energies. So because that's what I was dealing with. It's like, oh my gosh, that's, it was just like, that was like my reality. I'm like, I'm being attacked and da da da. Well, yeah, and so I was actually bringing more attacks in.
You're manifesting it.
You were, yeah, exactly. And it was like, stop. And my beautiful, I didn't know, it was Ashtar at the time, would come in and say, just believe. Believe in yourself. Believe. That's all he would ever say to me. And I would just illuminate my light out there. And then I would, if I felt I needed a shield around me, then I put a shield around me outside of that. You will learn many tools of the trade as you go along. Of things that will pull, and as you move, you no longer need some of those tools, and other tools will come along, and then you get to a point you don't need any of those. I no longer get attacked. They basically, they see my energy and they bug out. So they just, I say that,
Yeah.
but it's kind of funny because I do see them. I see them coming around. They don't even really come around because I see my energetic field. Do I still have a beautiful shield that I put out around me? Yeah, I still do that, because of the work that I do, but they're not even with 20 feet of me, in that they're just not even there anymore.
In the corner.
They know what will happen. And what will happen is I give them a choice, but I will, I try to transmute them into light to remember, because that's where they originally are from. They are still from the light.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it is a process. I honor that and I recognize it because I have gone through the process. But finding a beautiful protection meditation that works for you, and if you have to do it twice a day, do it twice a day. Do it in the morning, do it at night, and you can get to the point where once you listen to one, and it can be like 12 minutes long, once you learn the procedure, you can condense it, condense it down. Here's one really quick one, tool for the toolbox, as I call it. If you're out and about in a crowd and you're feeling the density, and where you can feel your energies, the density of the energies around you, I always use an analogy of like if you go to Home Depot or Costco or something like that, a big box store, Walmart, Target, and you can feel everybody's energies around you. And all of a sudden you're getting tired and you're getting crabby and agitated. That's not you. That's your energy. That's everybody else's stuff. So I bring in what I call the cosmic flush. I think his name is Daniel Day, Ascension. I would look up cosmic flush. But what I do is I will just say, bring in the cosmic flush. I'll be in the middle of a store and I'll be like, bring in the cosmic flush. I used to do this. I don't need to. Bring in the cosmic flush. And it's just like this energy just shoots down through me and it shoots out and it just clears my field. And it's just, and you're done.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's all. That's it. Do you maybe need to go home later that day? Generally, used to, I'd come home and still do a good clearing meditation, because you can get corded and you have people's energy stuck to you. Mm-hmm. Do whatever you feel guided. And you will get to a point where all that energy and that stuff will no longer bother you. But it's a journey. It is a journey, but it will come. I guarantee you it will come.
I trust it. I definitely, a lot of things have just been happening in, divine alignment, things that I thought about years ago, even as a kid, and it's just like playing out. So it's really taught me to remain in that energy of having faith, not only in the divine, but faith in myself as well. And I wanted to also touch upon, like, I found that me just being confident and trusting my power has also helped me protect myself from psychic attacks. Like before, I was dealing with depression and anxiety, and now like recognizing that I am a powerful being, and I am a powerful being because I'm connected to source and, connected to all of the divine. It's allowed me to not live in fear anymore, not worry too much about what's going on around me. Like even when I'm in a state of just being on autopilot and I feel like I may be lost, I still have that faith within me and that trust within me that my power, my ancestors and all the spiritual and beautiful people around me will definitely, guide me to where I need to be. So it's also beautiful. I love it. I love this journey. It's truly an amazing thing. And even when the ups and downs are happening, it's all, just truly beautiful and powerful at the end of the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't regret or change anything that I've probably gone through in the last couple of years. Has it been rough at times and emotional? Absolutely. But it if you want to call it a payoff, that's a third D word. I'm still human. These words. It has been so worth it. And you do have to touch those hurtful, tender places. It's the only way to move through it. And it's amazing. And as you do that, that's when your gifts open up. When you heal yourself, that's when the gifts come. Because they're buried. Everything else, the fear, the anxiety, that is all 3D illusions and matrix. And you move beyond all of that. So it is a wonderful journey. And I get to meet beautiful people like you are. So which is such a blessing. Kaya namo kiti timoya nanya telamona titi boki pikini anamona telamona ti boko ya boko timoya nanati abolomo ko chiwu chisisi ne manana ni anya topoko kelana. Kia taboko. Kaya namo tia siti mona. Kaya manaya tia wolomo ya. I'm bringing in this beautiful divine energy around you and everyone who's listening to this replay. Washing away Those emotions, those feelings. Healing the divine masculine, healing the divine feminine, bringing in ease and grace. Help you on your journey. So this may be done with the ease and the grace and gratitude. Come on, not too well. It is a humbling journey. Oh yeah, but one of great magnitude. Oh, I just saw this beautiful bright star. Oh, so what has transpired is there's this beautiful bright star, this energetic container that has been created around this energy that I just spoke of, that is available for you to always tap into at any time that you want. That is available to everyone.
Thank you so much for all the work that you do and just being an amazing part of this journey. Now that I think about it, I think Ashtar guided me towards you. He guided me towards you. It's insane how I was guided towards your channel and to find 122. So yep, I tapped in on something. So again, thank you so much for, allowing me to do this and just basically confirming a lot, not just for me, but a lot of, the young people on this journey. And I'm sure that the whole collective definitely benefited from this chat that we had. So I can't say enough how grateful I am to be able to connect with you and for you to, do all of this work for everybody and yourself as well. So
thank you. It's a blessing. Thank you. Thank you for stepping up and coming forward and asking for this. I think it's going to help a lot of people. You're going to help a lot of people. Most definitely. Beautiful. All right, my love.
Thank you again. And I love you so much.
I love you too. Bye-bye.